Welcome back for another video. In this one we're going to run through the biggest talking points ahead of Gameweek 8. This is a series every week on the channel. To have your question answered, all you need to do is be subscribed, and you'll see a post asking for your questions every Wednesday, or you can go on the community tab on my channel to find it there. The Fantasy Football Scout members benefits just got even better, and all for only a few quid a month. All the data tables I use for my videos are public for your use. The season ticker tool, essential for spotting good fixture runs and rotations. Player comparison for when you're weighing up some potential transfers. And they've just partnered up with Plan FPL to have your team rated each week with Opta data. It costs you less than a coffee per month. Click the link below to try it out. I can't recommend it enough, as a member for 6 years myself. It also supports the channel, so hit the link in the description now. So let's get into it. Loads of good questions this week, and the first one's from Chris, who asks whether it's plausible to do the unthinkable and go without Haaland for the next 4 or so game weeks. This one might sound crazy to some of you, but there's 3 reasons why this is genuinely being done by some managers. Number 1, looking at Man City's upcoming fixtures alongside Liverpool and Spurs, we can count up the potential weeks you want to captain him, so I've put together a matrix here. Over the next 7 game weeks, Salah's a good captain option in 6, Haaland in 2, Son in 4. So the debate is whether it's worth the 14.1 mil on a player you potentially only captain twice in the next 7 weeks. To that, I would also argue that just because you don't captain a player doesn't mean you shouldn't own them. It simply means that you think they're your second best player. But number 2 reason is it's a play against the field, and that will send you flying up the ranks if it comes off. Haaland's 91% owned, 112,000 have actually sold him this week already. If you pick Watkins instead and use that money to upgrade a defender like Kabore to Trippier, you're still left with another 3.7 mil on top of that. If the total of those points spread around can beat Haaland, then you're going to move up the ranks against 90% of the player base. And lastly, reason 3 is that using projections in an optimizer like FPL Review, no Haaland's actually considered optimal. This is what FPL Review considers the optimal Gameweek 8 wildcard. Naturally, with these tools, they're good for guidance, and then you work backwards with some tweaks that you want here and there. The solvers are subject to no bias or emotion, they just go with what's expected to score highest, and interestingly they've got no Haaland. And of course, lastly, Alvarez is under half the price of Haaland and he's in better form. He was rested midweek in the Champions League and he won the game for City with a goal and an assist off the bench to win the game 3-1. George asks about owning the Spurs fullbacks and Son rather than the Maddison and Son combo. This is definitely viable, especially if you feel that Bowen outscores Maddison long term, which is what he's saying. Tottenham's next 3 are Luton, Fulham and Palace, who are 16th, 18th and 15th this season for not penalty XG. So there's lots of clean sheet potential and they both have an attacking return in them. Palace are also going to be without Eze as well in Gameweek 10 at the end of this month, which helps Tottenham's cause defensively. Jay Sandy asks, if you've missed the price changes, is it still worth wildcarding now or take a -4 instead? The answer to this is that the price changes aren't relevant whether you wildcard or not. Wildcard if it helps your team score the most points. Our rank is based on points, not team value. So if we're nearing the Gameweek 8 deadline and we learn that Saka's out, plus you've got other injuries like Botman and Estepinian, and maybe some other players rotting in your team, then definitely go for it. It is nice to catch the price rises on a wildcard, but it shouldn't be enough to leave it for another week purely to just gain more team value. Using the experts' data submitted, let's have a look at the top transfers they're making. It's going to be a good episode tomorrow, so make sure you're subscribing. About a third are on an active wildcard this week. So Saka to Son is their top move, which is logical given that Saka went off injured in the Champions League. The latest is that it's a hamstring tweak, not viewed as serious, and he's not yet ruled out the City game. He's being judged on a day-to-day basis. However, with Son a captaincy shout this week versus Luton, even if Saka makes the game, it's a clear upgrade. The latest on Estepinian is that he's injured for a month more or less, according to De Zerbi. The experts are dropping him for cash this week, and some are also selling Botman for cash. More injuries as well, with Eze out for 6 weeks, and some of those are selling him for Diaby. Be careful with this one though. Diaby wasn't in the Europa Conference League squad due to injury as well, not yet ruled out of Gameweek 8. Emery was asked if he'll make Gameweek 8 and he said I don't know. Morris to Watkins and Rashford to Maddison, the other 2 popular moves in the Experts League this week. So let's talk about Botman, who is a popular pick, and Rondon asks should we sell him. It's team dependent of course. If you can't play other defenders while he's out, then it's not a priority. He's expected back for Gameweek 10 after the international break. However, if you don't own Udogie or Porro, then that's a strong transfer to consider. Cash also great, but Spurs have got the better fixture this week. And likewise, Christoph is asking whether Estepinian's worth a -4 to sell. Again, if you can field enough good defenders in his absence this week, then it's not worth a -4. That said, for a high upside defender like Pedro Porro, it's something to strongly consider. If you're otherwise forced to start someone like a Luton defender, or maybe an Arsenal defender, then I'd go for it. Frankie says he was careless and forgot to activate his wildcard last week, took a -52 hit, and he asked, is his season over? -52 hit. This one's absolutely devastating. At least good to see it get lots of likes and support from fellow managers, well, most of you anyway. Obviously this one's tough to come back from, but it's not impossible. It's only Gameweek 8 and there's a very long way to go. Last season, Ali Jahangirov was 2.9 mil after Gameweek 3 and he won the whole thing. Obviously not going to win FPL this season, but it shows what's possible if you play smart. This team's currently ranked 126k and they started the season in Gameweek 2, which is crazy. The Gameweek 1 average score was 64 points, so they essentially start the season about 64 points behind everyone else. So that's more points behind than the hit you just took. The way I would look at it is you can play with the pressure off now. Try something ambitious like no Haaland and wildcard this week instead. Big rank climber if it comes off, and a big lesson learned there for the future. Another blank for Rashford last game week, and Jevis asked whether it's worth selling him for Diaby for a hit. This one's a straightforward no. Again, Diaby's not in the Europa Conference League squad this week, and Rashford's home to a struggling Brentford side. I consider a hit for someone like Son, but definitely not Diaby. Man like UV asked, what's the best wildcard team? I've put together a wildcard draft here, which is Leno in goal, Cash, Porro and Burn in defence, Salah, Son, Maddison, Diaby, Ward-Prowse midfield, and then Watkins and Haaland up top. A lot of players here you can free up money with if you are tight for money. Porro to Udogie, Ward-Prowse to Neto, etc. If I was on a wildcard this week, it'd look like that. As far as Saka replacements, Salah, Son and Maddison the obvious ones. Bowen's got Newcastle this week, so a tough fixture, but he's a good long-term pick. So a 23 pointer by Watkins last week, and he's got good fixtures ahead. He's the one everyone's talking about right now. And Uzi Boozy asks, is it worth a hit to get him? This one's completely dependent on who you're selling. If it's Alvarez, then in my eyes not worth a hit. If it's Morris, then it's worth it. Or if it's Wilson, who was a big doubt as he wasn't in the Champions League team that beat PSG, then that's also worth it. Ferguson's got Liverpool and then Man City, so I'd say that's also worth it. Got a question about defenders and a good opportunity to talk about the best enablers. The question is it necessary to have 5 starting defenders, or can I get a cheaper defender who won't get me many points? I don't know about you, but it feels like this season there's a crazy amount of injuries, maybe more than past seasons at this point, so bench depth is important. However, so is maximising the value in your starting 11, which is a balancing act every week. 3 at the back formations are the most popular at this point in time, so the best way to set up is to have a good 4th defender on your bench who you can rotate in when you need, and then a 4-mil defender who you're unlikely to need at all. For example, if you've got Cash and Udogie or Porro, they're permanent starters, and then that 3rd defender spot could be Burn and Gabriel as an example to rotate in. So there's lots of 4-mil defenders which are starting. Taylor's only 3.9 mil and he started the last 4 in a row. Long-term fixtures aren't too bad either, worst case scenario if he auto subs on for you. Kabore is the best of the Luton defenders, 20 crosses and 4 shots this season, so he does have some attacking potential, but Luton's fixtures are horrendous, so I'd rather have Taylor or Bayer. Branthwaite I think is flying under the radar a bit. Everton obviously not keeping clean sheets, but you'll do well to get that from any 4-mil defender, and they've got Bournemouth home this week. Brighton's fixtures are great from Gameweek 10, so Van Heck's a nice option. So far he's either started or stayed on the bench, it looks like there's no risk of a cameo. I've seen some are talking about Lamptey for 3.9 mil because Estupiñán's injured, but I'm not keen. Estupiñán could be back Gameweek 11, so you might only get the Fulham game out of him, then it's a big rotation risk. And unlike Van Heck, he gets subbed on lots. Lastly, let's talk about captaincy for Gameweek 8. It's a big one this week, and people are looking beyond Haaland. Here's FPL Review's projections for Gameweek 8. Son was top with 6.6 points, however I've tweaked his minutes from 88 to 75, which I think is more realistic as he's got this ongoing injury which has caused him to come off early the past 4 games. Over the last 4 games he's averaged 74 minutes a game. That actually puts him tied of Maddison this week, with Salah only 0.1 points ahead. When it's that close, it's essentially noise, so go with your gut. Salah, Maddison and Son are all great options, but let's not pretend Haaland's automatically a bad pick either. Let me know in the comments how you're leaning for captaincy this week. Thanks for watching. If this video was helpful, drop it a like before you go and subscribe for more FPL videos like this every week. See you soon for the next one.